What is up, all you real estate loving individuals? This is episode number 36 of the Real Estate Take podcast, and I'm your host, Wendell Butler. Just go-to podcast with tons of information regarding the current real estate market, where we get various real estate professionals' current take on different areas of real estate. For today's guest, we have Jessica Sinski. Jessica Sinski is a seasoned realtor and broker with over a decade of experience in the Charlotte real estate market. Her journey began early, tagging along on appointments with her mom and helping in the office as a teen, but officially took off in 2013 when she joined a top-producing team. Today, Jessica leads the sales department at Carolina Residential Group and has personally been involved in over 750 transactions, ranging from foreclosures and short sales to investment flips and traditional home sales. She also holds roles in property management and served as a director of sales, giving her a 360 view of the industry. Originally from Queens, New York, Jessica moved to Charlotte in 2008 and never looked back. She holds a psychology degree with a minor in women and gender studies from UNC Charlotte. And outside of real estate, she loves traveling, dancing, and all things creative. But Charlotte will always be home. So let's welcome in Jess. Jessica, how are you doing today?
I am doing great, despite the gloomy weather.
Doing the best we can, even though it's like flash flood warnings. Like I woke up and got that text. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah. I was like, what's that noise? Oh, no wonder. It's gloomy outside.
Kind of like hail, but it's just rain.
Yeah.
So I like to get started off I know we read your bio and explained a lot about yourself, but I always like to dive a little bit deeper and just start off with just who you are, like what got you into real estate and kind of like what's your personal backstory just coming from yourself.
So I've always kind of like been in some sort of real estate. My first touch was in 5th grade, and my mom went to a Rich Dad Poor Dad seminar in New York, and she was like, hey, you want to skip school? And I was like, I don't usually skip school, so no. Like I was like one of those kids where you could not get me to miss school even if I was sick. So my mom asked me, she was like, do you want to like learn about building wealth? And I'm in 5th grade. Like what kid wants to learn about building wealth for the future? And I was like, yeah, that seems really interesting. So here I am, little 10-year-old, and I'm going to a Rich Dad Poor Dad seminar both days because it was like a 2-day thing. And I'm the youngest person in the room, and they're like practicing writing letters and stuff. And here I am practicing writing letters, still practicing my handwriting and whatnot. But I did enjoy it. So I guess it's kind of like what my mom instilled in me growing up. Like we came from nothing. So what do you have to do to get out of the rat race? And then she actually ended up getting her license in New York. She did it on the side. So she was like a sales associate on the side. She only kind of did rentals mostly on the weekends. But over there you could make like a good side business money for doing rentals. Not kind of like North Carolina, you don't really make any money doing leasing rentals at least. Yeah. But she did that, and then I worked at her firm under her broker, and I cold called for sale by owners from the newspaper, and I got him appointments. I was like 16 then, so I did that, and then we moved to North Carolina, and I finished high school and did all of that. But then once I was here, my mom and I took the real estate class together, and we both, she got licensed. I didn't get licensed initially. I started working at a firm as an admin, and that's where I did like a lot of the foreclosures, short sale stuff, a lot of like back end pre-filling paperwork, learning the back end of the business kind of thing. And then after I finished college, I was like, well, I kind of love real estate. So why am I going to further my psychology degree if I already love real estate and I'm pretty good at it? So I went back and I got my license, and I've just been doing that full time ever since.
Nice. And I love how like people always say like what got you started in real estate, and people say like I read the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, but you like actually went to the conference when you're like it's like, yeah, well, I went to the conference.
Yeah. I actually
what's going on, but I had fun.
I actually never read the book still. I'm not good at finishing a book, so I still never read the book. I probably like skimmed through bits and pieces and I know the concepts. Still never read the book though.
Yeah, as long as you know the concepts and you already like were getting introduced to that. So it wasn't like it's like you didn't need to read the book to be like, oh wow, like that's totally not what I was thinking, or that's the totally different mindset. Like it seems like your parents already had that mindset and they were just kind of showing you it, and you probably thought that was the norm, which is surprisingly it's not. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't prepare themselves for life like that, which was why I think like 85% of people aren't on like track to be able to retire. I don't know. It's insane.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty high.
Yeah. So when you first got out of college, I mean, I was the same way. I like went to college for kinesiology. I thought I was going to be a physician assistant. I like bebopped around a little bit, trying to figure out what the heck I wanted to do, if I want to go back to school, if I wanted to pursue other things. And then I kind of fell into entrepreneurship and then fell into real estate after that. So like when you got out of school, did you immediately know that you wanted to get into real estate as a realtor, or was it like a realtor and an investor? Like what interested you, and what path did you kind of look into coming out of college?
So I was still working at the firm that I was an assistant for. So I kind of like shadowed her as like a sales associate. And then what happened was after I got my license, I knew all the aspects of the business, like her office. So I became the director of sales there. And so I helped train other agents and I led all the sales, the retail sales for her. But I also knew how to do all the foreclosures and all of that. So every time someone had an issue, everyone came to me. Or if they needed guidance on how to do something, everyone came to me. And then I started building like my own clientele on the side as well. So friends and family members that were also looking to buy or sell. It was mostly buyers at that time. They would come to me and I helped quite a bit of first-time home buyers then. And I also wanted to buy my own property because I was still living at home. I was a commuter in college. I didn't do the dorms or anything. So I was like, okay, well, I want to buy my own place. I don't want to rent anywhere. And I think within a few months after graduating, I bought a condo in Charlotte and I rented out the other room. So I fell into house hacking then.
Yeah.
And the other room paid for pretty much my whole mortgage. So I was then living again like almost rent free or bill free, I would say. And then I was like, okay, well, I want more of these because this is awesome. Like I don't really have many living expenses and I'm making money. It's tax write-offs. And yeah, so that was kind of my I kind of fell into a lot of things.
Yeah. I kind of did the same thing because I bought like a condo, not even knowing what condo, like house hacking or whatever, renting my rooms were or whatever. I just wanted to like buy something because in my mind, I was like, I don't want to rent, I want to own something. So like it appreciates and like what's mine. Like renting is just a waste of money. It's like more what my mindset was. I think it's because my parents kind of instilled that as well. Like buy something, like make good investments, blah, blah, blah. And I did the same thing. I like rented out the room and I was like, oh wow, wait a minute. Like I have like I'm only paying like $300 a month now to live here.
Yeah.
It's sweet. And I was like, that's all going to principal too. So it's like, I'm not even paying like the interest. And so like, I think even nowadays, like people think and have seen real estate like explode so much because of probably COVID and just seeing like social media gurus talk about like, oh wow, I'm doing like this much, blah, blah, blah. But the economy and the market is very hard. It's like a hard real estate market right now. And I think one of the best ways to get into it, to just at least buy your first property is something like that, right? Like start small with like a condo or even like a single family and like rent by the room, like rent your rooms out. You gotta be uncomfortable for a little bit, but like it really did it helped me kind of get to the next step because you take out your whole living expense, which is like the biggest expense, especially when you're young coming out of college. Like that's like your biggest expense. So if you get rid of that, you have everybody else complaining about like, oh, my rent is due, or like, I gotta pay my mortgage payment. You're like, someone else is paying mine.
Yeah.
So like, what are your thoughts on like nowadays, like for people that want to get into it or even into like investing or just into real estate period, like what are you seeing is like the best way to like an entry point, I guess, particularly like in the Charlotte market, because Charlotte did blow up and it's like a little bit more, I would say it's much more expensive now than it was like 5 years ago out of nowhere. And plus everybody's moving here. I think there's like 150, 160 people move here a day. So it's just going to continue to get more expensive. So yeah, what are your thoughts on just like for newer people that want to get into it and maybe are thinking huge dreams, huge goals, but they're just afraid to take that step? Like what's like the best way to get into it, you would say?
I would say like finding the right layout of a house is something that I look for when I have buyers that are new, because that house hacking with like room rentals and stuff it's super easy for them to do. But if you have the right layout, like a split floor plan kind of thing, like your bedroom on one side and the other bedrooms all the way on the other, it makes it seem like you're almost in two different households. And it's still like, obviously you want to vet the person that's going to be living with you super strongly, but that's definitely a really good way to start out, because you have like a cushion. Then like if you lose your job or something like that, then you have a cushion that you're falling on, and it's not as active income like flips or stuff like that, where you need to super actively work on that, especially if you're working like a 9 to 5. It's a little harder to do those things when getting into real estate.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think you hit on something good there. Like gives like a cushion. It also gives you a cushion to like take a little bit more risk on your active income. Like instead of being strapped to like a 9 to 5 that you don't really have as much growth into, you can maybe take a risk on taking a commission based job or like sales, or like take a chance on like other things, because your housing is being paid for, partially paid for. So it allows you to have a little bit more chance, which I think a lot of people get strapped, especially in this economy, that they can't kind of move or make any moves because they're living paycheck to paycheck. So as simple as like renting out a room, it just gives you like a little bit of breathing room to be able to take that chance.
I would say before I got into my first property, I did hustle really hard and I worked 3 jobs. So like, yes, there's rest and stuff, but I definitely put in a lot of work because I came from nothing. So like if someone's coming from nothing and they don't have help from someone else, like go out and network and do all those little jobs and just build up that income until you can build up your wealth, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta be smart. You gotta make good financial smart moves and also understand the economy and like what's needed. Like for example, like you now or do like some rent by the rooms, like rentals period, compared to just like regular long-term rentals. And that's because in Charlotte, that's kind of like what works to be able to cash flow. Can you talk a little bit about that and like the differencing of doing like a total rent by the room? Like you're not even like living there, like you're renting a house and kind of separating the rooms, right?
Yeah, so I have a couple condos and I rent them by the rooms. I do rent them long term by the rooms just because of like the HOA restrictions and stuff. But like a 3-bedroom here, say like it makes around $500 more a month than if I were to rent the whole unit as a 3-bedroom. So making more money, yes, like if one person stops paying, well, I still have 2 people that are paying, so I'm still getting 2/3 rent, and usually it's more, well, in overall it's more money than a long-term rental. And but usually they're all paying. Like I've never had an issue with the room rentals. So I also like meet the people in person. I vet them really strongly, so I make sure that they have good credit, they have good income, but that they also have good personalities and that they're gonna co-live with other people peacefully. So I would say when you're renting out by rooms, like that's super important, more so than like their credit score per se, because I have rented to people that have had no credit because they've just moved here from another country. And yes, I collected a double deposit for them, but they had no credit, they had no cosigner, and they're paying standard rent, double deposit, but their personality was that they were really hard workers and they were kind and quiet people when I met them in person. So I knew that they would do well in a room rental situation. But yeah, they make more money overall than like long-term rentals.
Yeah, and it's not really as like complicated as people really make it seem, because all you really have to do is have like 2 separate leases and you kind of get segregated a room, right? Or do you divvy up counters, like kitchen counter space and stuff for them, or is it just shared? Like that's like the common area.
That's all shared. So one unit, I furnished the common areas. So like it's all my couch and all my furniture, kitchen stuff. And then they commonly use those things. And then they also have a roommate agreement in the lease that I have. So that roommate agreement has like cleaning, like quiet hours, respectfulness, stuff like that. One of the other units I have, one of the tenants has been there for like 6 years. So she, as like people like moved out of, it's only 2 bedroom, as people moved out of the other room, she kind of like wanted to style it in her her way, and I was okay with that. So she moved in her furniture into the living room. She styled it her way, and now all the other tenants that move into the other room, they're kind of like friends with her. So
Oh,
now
nice.
the other tenant's been there for 2 years. They get along really well, and that's geared towards keeping them there for a really long time, like 6 years for a room rental tenant. That's super long. So
Yeah, it's pretty insane. 'Cause
yeah, usually I have like a year, like 2 years, I think has been like my average, I would
Yeah.
say, because they're kind of like in a transitional phase usually. Like they want to build their job, like their status in their job, and they're building their income that way. But yeah, that girl, she's been there for a long time. She loves living where she lives, so
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, that's something I got to think about too, because I'm moving out of my condo because we just bought like a new kind of Airbnb house hack that we're moving into. And yeah, it's like for some reason, it's just the rents, like the long-term rents in Charlotte haven't really caught up with the prices yet.
Mhm.
So like and I live in like Noda, which is, for everybody listening, it's like the arts and whatever district of Charlotte, I guess is what you call it. But it's a pretty poppin' place, and you would expect like to get like really good rent, which in Charlotte it might be really good rent, but to me, moving from New England, it's like nothing. Yeah, it's like a 2-bed condo, and I think like the most I can get for long term comfortably, like if I want to fill it really quick, it's like 1,700 to 1,800.
Yeah.
And if I do like midterm, it's like 21 maybe, but it might take a bit to fill. But then if you do like room rentals, you can probably get like 1,100 each room. So it's something that I have to think about because it's definitely interesting, and it's like a different concept that I'm not even used to because I moved from New England, and New England rents are like insane. So they would pretty much make sense for any rentals that you have. So I guess my question is like, how do you transition? Like if someone's listening and they are in a market where the long-term rents just aren't really working, like how is the transition to get comfortable setting up the rent by rooms? Did you like create your own leases, or did you go to like an attorney for that to make sure it was all set and good? And then how do you market them out like as rent by rooms? Is it the same as long-term rentals, or do you use like different websites? If you could touch on that, that'd be good.
So I use a platform, Rent Ready, to manage my rentals, and they source like the marketing out to Zillow, Realtor.com if I wanted to. So I could put them by the room on there. I would say most of my tenants I've found on Facebook Marketplace. My first tenant I found on Craigslist.
Nice.
She was absolutely the best tenant I've ever had. Paid rent on time, was super quiet, no animals, never had guests over, and she was actually like barely ever there. So I wouldn't put Craigslist past it because I
Yeah.
had a great experience, but I would say like that was probably like a unicorn that I found. Otherwise, I find a lot of my tenants off Facebook Marketplace, Facebook groups, like room rental groups. There's tons of groups like that. I usually try to keep them, like if a female's living in one of the rooms, I try to put another female in the other room. So it's like an all-female apartment, but I've had co-ed units as well. So I've done both. And then as far as, what was your other question?
Like setting up the leases, I guess, and like
Leases. So leases, I do have an attorney drafted lease, but it has a bunch of amendments that I added on. Because I'm a realtor, I can't draft my own legal documents or anything like that. And I'm not an attorney as well, so I wouldn't advise you to draft your own legal documents unless you were. But you can get a number of leases and amendments off of online. I would just say make sure you're following all your state and county guidelines because all of those can change.
Awesome. Yeah, people forget about Facebook Marketplace. Like anytime that I need like when I like rent my room out, or whenever I rented my room out or house hacked or whatever, like even like for my long-term rentals, even for like my large apartment buildings I'm a part of, like my best tenants came from Facebook. And then they're the most receptive, and then most like they actually apply, and they actually like communicate with you. People forget about that. Like you post something on Facebook for rentals, and you'll get, honestly, you have to be like prepared because you'll usually get blown up by like 80 to 100 people. Half of them probably don't really answer, and they just say like, is this available? And you're like, yeah. Or you like send them like your copy and paste. It's like, yes, apply here. Well, if you have questions, blah, blah. You just copy and paste stuff. But yeah, it's like a filter. It's a good filter because it's like usually 100 people reach out like within a week, and then 50 actually like look into it, and then 20 actually like maybe apply. And then out of that, you probably get like 3 to 5 good like tenants you can choose from. It's pretty remarkable how nice Facebook is for like renting, and people totally forget about that. So aside from rent by the rooms, you also do some Airbnb, right? So you're getting creative creative in this market because again, the long-term rents just they don't really work as well. So you gotta get creative, especially when you want to make some rental income. So talk to us about that a little bit, about Airbnb and like where you kind of focus and what type of Airbnbs and how you make yours successful.
So I bought a portfolio during COVID, and most of those units are 2-bedroom, 1-bath, kind of closer to the airport area. So I was like, people coming in and out of the airport, that's a great area for Airbnb, and they're smaller, so it's more like transient people that are not really staying here. So that's why I switched those to Airbnb. Decorated, designed, remodeled, all of those myself. Not the remodel, I just guided that. Those make, in the summer times, they make good money still. Some of the units make $1,000 over what like a long-term rent would be, but I couldn't do like room rentals or house hacking there just because they're 2-bedroom, 1-bath. So they're too small to really make any money in there. The Belmont Gaston area. So room rentals aren't as prevalent over there. They're more so in Charlotte, I would say, where rents are higher. So yeah, I would say in the winter months, I make a little more than the long-term rents, but not like where if it was the winter months all year long, I probably wouldn't do that. I would probably do the long-term rentals just because it's less maintenance. It's definitely a lot more hands-on, a lot more active income. You're talking to guests. If you're not hiring a property manager, you're dealing with issues. I have hot tubs at all the properties, so that way I have amenities that stand out over the lots of other competition that's out there, because there is a lot of competition in that area, and the decor really has to stand out. Cleanliness really needs to stand out. So I have a cleaner that works for me and only for me, and I make sure that she's taken care of, and I make sure that I try to get, like, if guests are damaging things, going after them for reimbursement and stuff like that. So
yeah, because the Airbnb is like, people don't really think of it as, I mean, it's hospitality, right? So you have to set yourself ahead of other possible Airbnbs as well. Sorry to hear my dog. He's gonna screech because someone's coming home. Yeah, I got a hound dog, so he's pretty loud. But basically, yeah, it's like, it's hospitality. So like you said, you got to like give yourself more amenities like hot tubs, or some cold plunges are big, and like maybe even saunas and stuff, to set yourself apart from the other Airbnbs that maybe aren't performing as well or even giving as much luxury, I would say. And then the decoration, you want it to be like cute or something like, I don't know, flowy or happy, or have like some type of vibe or theme with it, because it makes people want to stay there. So like, what are some things or like some tips you could say of what you include as like decorations or maybe themes or whatever that have worked in the Airbnb sector, and maybe even some communication tips or even like little, I don't know, little things that you leave for guests or provide that they really enjoy?
So when I first started, I used to leave little goodie bags with like toiletries in it. So like disposable toothbrushes. And I bought like a kit off Amazon and created my own little gift bag kind of thing. And I noticed guests weren't really using them, so I was able to like reuse them a bunch. And when I switched over from, like, I used to live closer to the cleaner, and I was able to make these gift bags and gift to her. Now I don't live as close to her, so I don't really provide that anymore, but I make sure that she does like the little animals with the towels. So it gives like that cute little feeling that people take videos of and people talk about, makes them feel good. Some of the houses do really good with guest books. Like I have one house that has it's a 1-bedroom, and that house, almost everyone writes in that guest book. And I would say that one's probably my top producing one, even though it's like a 1-bedroom. And I put in an adjustable queen size bed. I would say king size would be better, but the adjustable bed, like, everyone loves that thing. So I've had people that have had to stay there recovering from an injury a lot of times, actually. It's not too far from the newer hospital in the Belmont area, so I guess they're going over there for surgeries or stuff, and then the adjustable bed really helps them in like recovering. So I've had people stay at that spot for like a month, often multiple times, for similar things.
That's what you wouldn't think of that like a niche, like people actually look for like Airbnb with adjustable bed.
Yeah,
Like, oh.
but now I'm like, oh, they're not much more money on Amazon. You could buy the adjustable frame on Amazon. They're not much more money.
Oh, yeah.
And it's definitely a plus. I would say design wise, so I have some that are like with touches of Disney. So I have like a Beauty and the Beast themed one. I have an Alice in Wonderland one. And they're not like overwhelmingly like as if you were to go to Disney and like their murals and stuff. They're just kind of little touches of those. And those are, I've noticed like more families stay at those. And it's also closer to the downtown Belmont area. And so it brings in that like family spirit. And then the other units that I have that do a little better, they're more, let's say, bohemian themed. So they're more like neutral-ish, like neutral colors. And I put like photos, like I have one that has like a photo of a horse and it's like a big focal point. Like I usually do one big focal point art piece.
Yeah.
And that stands out there a lot. The one in Charlotte's a lot larger that I have. It's a 3-bedroom, but it can house up to like 12 people for the
Dang.
amount of beds that I have. And that one, it has the neon LED light up signs and it's a little more hip, but it's closer to the NODA area. So that's what I look at the areas that they're in. What are the types of people that are visiting there? And I try to design it similarly to that and then find decor that fits the house itself. So the layout, maximize the layout. In that house, I put a pool table that converts into a full-size dining table. And that dining table can fit up to 12 people. So I noticed with like larger homes, the biggest complaint is that the table doesn't fit all the people that are staying there. And they want to have dinner parties or stuff with all the guests, but not all the guests can fit at the table. So I got a big enough table. It has benches, so you can like kind of squeeze them in. But then it has like 2 chairs you could put at the end, and even put more chairs if you wanted to squeeze them in. So that way more than 12 people can really fit at the table. So
yeah, and that's when you dive into it, like it's like little things that you don't think about, but like when you add them into like your Airbnbs or like little touches, like that's what sets you apart. So many Airbnb investors, especially ones that got going during COVID, like just kind of buy a property and just put it on Airbnb as like, and not really make any updates. It's like, here, rent this out short term. But now it's like, that might have worked during COVID because people were like going on trips and just wanted to get out and wanted to go somewhere. Yeah. Now it's with the oversaturation of Airbnb, you have to set yourself apart. So if you're just buying like a rental, not doing anything fancy or cute to it, or adding like little amenities, or even not even think about the location, and you're just kind of throwing it out there on Airbnb, it's not going to work. And people will probably not. You leave bad reviews, or they just won't even stay there. They'll stay at another place that looks a lot better. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting into issues with Airbnb. And you're supposed to treat it like a vacation home. It's a getaway, right? It's a hospitality. So if you're not doing that, then you probably will not do well in it. It does take a little bit more active work and a little bit more like correction or feedback loop to figure out how to get it the way that people like it or the area likes it. But it seems like you have it going really well, and that it's fulfilling and it's a good investment for you compared to like just long term in Charlotte.
Yeah, I would say overall too, I'm making the same amount as like last year, but it's more money than now. I'm making the same amount 2023, 2024, and then 2022 looks like I started it. I may have been making a little bit more in 2022, like in the winter months.
Yeah.
But in the summer months, they're still pretty in line with all the previous years. So they've been pretty stable for me, but I have heard of people making less money than as COVID is not here. So
yeah. And I think it is just like the reason for that is people aren't doing what you're doing. Like they're not adding in like the amenities and making it have little themes and stuff like that. Like something that's different from their home. Like when I want to go stay somewhere, like I don't want to go to a place that looks just like my home. That's like boring.
Or a hotel, like just standard hotel kind of thing.
I'll just stay like if I'm gonna stay at a place and there's only just regular houses with no themes, I might as well just stay at a hotel if it's like the same cost. But if this Airbnb has a really cool theme, it has like a hot tub, has like adjustable bed, it has like Alice in Wonderland theme for like my kids or something, like I'm gonna stay there for like an extra $100 a night. Like I don't care. So like that's the difference. I feel a lot of people don't want to put in the work, but you got to put in the work, and you're putting in the work, so it's working.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, Cool. So we can start wrapping this up because I know you're pretty busy. I always like to end on just two final questions. One is like, what is your favorite business investing? I know you say you don't read a lot of books, so like you just don't finish them because you're like, I got the concept, I'm done. Which is kind of how I am. I'll get like halfway through a book, I'm like, I get this. But like, I don't know. What are some books or even like podcasts or something that you listen to, or even like YouTube channels or whatever that have helped you or you recommend people to listen to?
So I think I'm more of an in-person kind of thing, like person. It's myself. So I actually recommend everyone go to like their local networking meetings and network with go to your local investor groups and listen to like speakers in person, because then you're really making the relationships. So like, yes, I have a ton of books. I would say like my first book that I probably finished that was like a real estate book was Never Split the Difference, but that's more like a negotiation part. And if you've never done a deal or you're kind of figuring out what type of investment you want to do, it's getting in front of and surrounding yourself by people that are doing what you want to do. And in order to do that, it's not just listening, because you could get like wrapped into the analysis paralysis kind of thing. So for me, it's more so getting in front of those people and surrounding myself by those people and going to like local networking meetings. So even if I go to like another city and I'm there for a while, because I travel a lot, I will look up those groups as well if I have nothing to do, and I'll go to those groups, and I usually find people that do real estate everywhere I go. So yeah, that's what I would recommend to people.
Yeah, I love that, because I think networking is one of the best things you can do in real estate. Just meeting people and like hearing different ideas. And you can find partners, you can find different business opportunities. You just learn a lot more in person.
Yeah.
And then it just gets you out of that bubble too, to like analysis paralysis, and keep on like reading and listening to podcasts and have it doing. You meet people that are doing, and you're like, oh, maybe you should start doing stuff. And then it's also good to just, people in real estate like to help other people in real estate, and you don't know that until you go into networking events. It's like a team sport, and everybody's on the same team, which is cool. Yeah, it's a lot of collaboration. Yeah, everybody wants to win. They want to help each other win. And then just to end it off, I like to just give you the floor just to tell people about kind of where they can find you, your social media handles, maybe meetups that you run or attend, if you have charity events, business links, or even how to contact you, period. The floor is yours. So the best way I would say to contact me is on Instagram at Miss Jessica. It's MSZ Jessica, Ms. Jessica. And I post a ton of real estate, travel stuff, lifestyle, things to do in Charlotte. It's kind of like my own personal journal sometimes of what I'm doing out in the city. And meetups, like if you ever wanted to talk to one, I kind of just pop in and pop out at certain meetups in Charlotte for real estate, workout events too in Charlotte. And then I usually do a charity event, but this year I'm not doing one. I'm just kind of attending a lot of things this year instead. So, but I'm always down to collaborate on stuff like that too, because I've hosted 5 large charity galas before. So, yeah. Love it. Awesome. I'll put Jessica's contact info and anything links below in the bio as well for anybody listening. So you can just click it and reach out to her. Jess is awesome. We've worked together before, and she's super receptive. So she'll help out whoever reaches out. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, and go network too. Like I love to network. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, Jess. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you everybody for listening.